Alright, good evening everyone. Welcome back to Touhou World Cup 2025. A very unusual time for this, or at least for me anyway. And as you can see, it's a pretty accurate representation of the real world in the background for this one too, with the blazing winds of hell, I'd say, because it's still pretty hot here. Hopefully it's not cool where you guys are. Yeah, so today we have Touhou 17, it's Wily Beastie Weakest Creature, Lunatic Survival. And today I'm joined by Tipsy and CraftTek.
Hello.
Somebody sup. What up?
My first time doing Lee with this, so I guess bear with me everyone, but I'm definitely very excited for this one. We got some very skilled players in this category today. Actually hoping to see some good variety with the shots they use too, which is a little bit different than what we've seen in previous years. I guess we can maybe transition to the slides. Transition. Here we go. Alright, so Touhou World Cup, or TWC, is an annual international tournament featuring the Touhou Project shoot-'em-ups. Each match features 2 or 3 contestants competing in a survival or scoring category on either Lunatic or Extra difficulty. For more details about this tournament, visit the official website at touhouworldcup.com. As always, shoutouts to Maribel Hearn for the website. Alright, Touhou 17 Lunatic Survival Ghost Emoji. The players have 75 minutes to perform their best run. Players can finish any runs that they started within that reset time period, but once that time runs out, they have to finish that run. The total World Cup score is reduced for each hit, each time they get hit by a bullet. Runs with more than 5 hits don't count. Bombs are obviously not allowed because this is a no bombs category, and any bombs used are counted as 2 hits. At the end of the match, the player with the highest TWC score wins. However, as we'll get to here in a second, it's more than just not using bombs you have to worry about. Touhou 17 has a very unique system where you collect these floating tokens that appear from enemies. You collect 5 of those tokens, you enter what's called roaring mode, or a hyper. This is the more common term for it. Normally, if you collect 3 or more of the same animal token, which is the red wolf, green otter, or purple eagle, you can get some sort of a survival perk, such as better focus shots, better unfocused shots, or better bombs. However, for this category, you do not want to be doing that, because you're supposed to be going for survival and dodging only. You do not want these perks, and anytime you do activate these special hypers, which are called berserk roaring modes, that counts as 2 misses, just like if you used a bomb. You can see the helpful diagram in the bottom left. You do not want to collect 3 or more of the same beast token, but any other combination is good. If you collect 5 tokens without collecting 3 or more of the same colored beast token, you get what's called a neutral hyper, which is basically just acts like a border from Perfect Cherry Blossom, protects you from 1 hit, which you also don't want to get hit by as well. But you don't get any other survival perks during that.
What all of this basically means is that in this game, whenever you do survival, you have that extra other thing that you have to deal with that isn't just bullets. You have to
there's a lot of resource management in that sense, making sure you collect tokens at certain points to maybe clear your path, especially during bosses, because you may be moving up higher on the screen a lot during those. Yep. But now, without all those other survival conditions sorted out, we get to the actual shot types here. There's 9 total shot types. You have Reimu, Marissa, and Yomu, each of them with the wolf, otter, and eagle sub-shots, which also do affect their shots in the base game, but those are just the regular shots. For some of these shots, particularly the wolf shots, those are considered to be very powerful, and thus they give you a lot lower TWC score. Some of the ones that give the higher points are ones that don't give you many benefits. In particular, Reimu Otter, or Reimu O for short, gives the most amount of points because she's generally considered to give the least amount of benefit. She has very weak focus shots, and performing amulets do help in a few places, but still not a whole lot throughout the game.
It's mostly just like the matter of the DPS, right? The Reimu Otter just has the absolute lowest DPS, I believe, of every character, and because this game has a lot of characters rely on speed kill strategies, Reimu Otter cannot do many of those, and she just suffers a lot. Back in the day, like years ago, Yomu Eagle used to be like thought to be the worst, but correctly used, the Yomu Eagle does have some really good damage, so
yeah, Yomu Eagle, for those who don't know, her focus shot, her slashes are bugged and they deal a lot less damage than they should. But what people discover with Yomu Eagle over time is that her unfocused shots can actually deal pretty good damage when stacked on top of each other. This is especially good versus bosses, so this is why she gets fewer points in some of the hardest shots in the rest of this table, such as Rainbow Otter or Marissa Otter. Something else that I'm going to talk real quick is that people are discussing Rainbow Eagle as potentially not getting the most amount of points either, because it's been discovered that they actually can get decent DPS based on certain positions against bosses. It's still not super helpful, but the extra damage to the unfocused shots using the Eagle subshot does help out a little bit there. So that's why she doesn't get the most amount of points or even close to that either. She's tied with Marissa Otter in this case. Alright, so now we get to our 3 players. We have Sowako first. This is actually a category where they're going for their first LNN, I believe, but they have a good number of Lunatic no-bomb runs in some other various games. It's particularly, there's a highlight for Subterranean Animus in here. They also done multiple Grudge Bro Rage caps, as you can see, but they've also had a bunch of experience with other shoot-em-ups, such as Cave, Zero Ranger, and Gradius. Very classic titles there, for anyone familiar with the rest of this genre.
Yeah, Sowako is... not sure what words I can use here, because let's just say that his playstyle is a bit unique. The way he approaches shoot-em-ups, it's definitely unique. Some people in
how
chat
much we'll see with that with this game.
Some people in chat know.
Alright, so I forgot to mention it. So Team Aya for Sowako. So for Team Hatate, we have Bakemi. In this game, they actually do have a lot more experience with Wolfbog. They got Rainbow and Marissa LNNNs, I hope that's enough N's in this game. And they also have a Grudge Bro cap as Rainbow A and UFO. This is actually where we're starting to see some of the shot variety here, because while they say Rainbow Otter might be one of their expected shot types, they also might be showing off Rainbow Eagle. See if we get some of those unfocused shots in there and see how that damage works out compared to some of the others that they might use. And then finally for Team Omiji, you know him, you love him, we have Aevean.
There's no fucking way.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying there is no way they actually put that emoji in the background.
Yeah, the Danmaku villain himself. This is actually someone who has a lot more experience with this game. In particular, famously, he has a Yomu Wolf 90 frames per second LNNNN. Again, hope that's enough hands, I can always never keep track. But they also have all shots with this game too. This is someone else who also has a lot of practice with some other games like Necrodancer and Celeste. So, very intensive, very practice heavy, so you have to wonder how much that might carry over to a shoot-em-up like this. But again, we have to wonder like how much of the experience with 90 FPS would help out in this game. It can go both ways, I guess, because they even talked about in their interviews that some attacks might become a lot easier at slower 60 frames per second, but there are also some that are just the other way around. And it seems like here they're going for the hardest shot, Rainbow Otter. A lot simpler than the Yomu shots they've been using in the past. I don't know about you guys, I'm actually pretty excited for this one.
Oh yeah, this match is gonna be very exciting.
Yeah, we might see multiple shots starting out, might see people gravitate more towards the harder shots towards the end, but it also depends on what runs I get, I suppose, earlier on.
I expect Aevean to just start with go straight up with Rainbow Otter unless they wanna do some quirky stuff.
Yeah, even though we talk about Rainbow Otter having very weak damage, he's actually relatively straightforward to use otherwise, especially compared to Yomu. Then again, if you are pretty experienced with Yomu, then you're going to be already over that barrier of entry. Alright, we got our 3 players up here. Someone's hovering over Yomu Wolf to start. That might change as we get closer to the start time here. And let's see, someone practicing the end of Keiki. Hard to tell if that's Idola Diabolus they were doing, or perhaps Geometric Creature. That's definitely something we'll get into when we get towards the end of this game. There are definitely some attacks that have required a lot of practice. We want to get that muscle memory in. So, and on a full run like this, you definitely don't want to be going in on with your nerves going too high, otherwise you might mess that up. Alright, some activity from Bakemi as well.
Preparing.
Almost ready to start.
Oh,
All their timers seem to be synced, yeah, sure. In
Close enough,
3, 2, 1, begin.
And start.
again.
Alright, so we do have Yomu Wolf starting out. She's one of the characters who gets the fewest amount of points, and you can just take a look at how her focus shot works. The way all three Yomu shots work is that her focus shot is a charge slash. You charge up for a bit and then release after it fully charges. And it basically does these series of slashes above her. It's something you have to... it requires a lot of foresight to really use properly, but when you time it right, especially when enemies appear like that, it does a lot of burst damage. You actually see this is very useful throughout the rest of the game too, because there are even some enemies during bosses that can be killed just straight away, and that really reduces a lot of the challenge. That's the main reason that pushes her to be like the best shots in the game, to get the lowest points.
It's basically a combination of both highest single target DPS and somehow also the best crowd control in the game. Somehow Zone
it's
did that.
very wide
That's
too, as you
beautiful.
can see. And the wolf shot powers it up even more, so it covers like half the screen at a time.
There's also the funny fact of Yomu Wolf and Yomu Otter being about basically the same level of strength, even though Yomu has like the wolf empowerment. It's, I believe, because the Yomu Otter slash is slower, so you can actually get slightly more damage on the slashes themselves.
Yeah, you actually fit more of the slashes into the same space of the boss.
What
Whereas
to give
with the
up
wolf
is
shots, they
the
actually
range.
like perhaps go past them a little bit, and you lose maybe 1 or 2 slashes of DPS that way.
I think it's like relevant for some speed kills because again with Yomu especially it's like very speed kill reliant, skipping entire
You might
waves.
as well, because she specializes in that.
And yeah, we are seeing Raimus from both Aevean and Bakemi.
True. We can see
It is
Bakemi
what
using
I
minor
expected.
eagle.
Like I expect
Yeah, they're
Bakemi
actually
to-
showing off this strat with Discovered with Rainbow Eagle. You specifically want to be off-center a little bit, otherwise you reach some sort of damage cap. But if you can go off-center like this, you actually can get relatively comparable damage to Marissa Otter, is what was discovered. And that's why she gets a similar amount of points in the TWC score table.
And you're talking
Yeah,
about
for the
Raim,
most
right?
part, though, this first boss fight against Eika is relatively simple. Not a whole lot to worry about with the non-spells, because it's just moving back and forth through lanes like this. The only troublesome part might be the first spell, because you have to worry about dodging bullets from both sides potentially, but you just pay attention to anything that's close to you and make sure you don't dodge both sides at the same time. Just move back and forth as needed, even if it means moving away from Eika a little bit. Second spell here, you also might want to move up into where some of those Mentos are placed too, to avoid the faster ones coming down in the next wave. Again, showing some of that DPS with the start of stage 2.
Yomu is just
When
like...
you have single enemies, even if they're kind of beefy like this, you just charge up your slash at the right time and they just melt instantly.
I don't think there is any enemy that can survive the spawn kill from Yomu.
Even
Oh,
though
actually,
enemies,
no,
this
there
is
is,
actually
there
the
is.
first game where
In
enemies are
stage 2
starting
there
to
is.
be a bit tankier because of you can power yourself up the wolf shots, but even then they just stand no chance against Yomu Wolf.
It's
This is
actually,
actually
going
pretty
to
smart
be
from
a
Bakemi
failure.
here. This big fairy in the center keeps respawning until a certain point in the music, so you just stay to the right and then move back left as it starts to go down. That way you don't have to worry about like constantly having to stream the bullets from the sides and trying to kill multiples of those fairies. Yeah, Urumi mid-boss, you can see Bakemi also doing the shotgunning strat. This is what you would use to get the extra cow token. That's something you really only see for like getting extra resources.
I think it's also overall safer, and we just saw why I think it's safer on Sowako's screen. Just do it next
Well,
time.
it's mostly learnable, I think. There's obviously a little bit of variation in terms of Urumi's movement, but you can go to the same cells every time because the bullets just rebound up in the same place.
Yeah.
And you can obviously control where the Mentos are aimed because even though they increase in size, you can just move them over to the one side where you don't want to be standing, and that's pretty simple. Something else that Bakemi is also showing is that the downtime after bosses is a great time to collect a lot of the tokens on the screen and just clear them out. There's a very real danger with some of these shots is accidentally collecting 3 of the same beast token and activating the Berserk Roaring mode that obviously cause a point deduction for the TWC score. So at any of the save points like boss dialogue or after spell cards, you might want to like activate a neutral hyper and get a lot of these tokens out of the way. Or like what they're doing here, they're just making sure they collect all 3 of the different color beast tokens so they can guarantee that they won't activate Berserk Roaring mode later on, no matter what token they pick up.
Usually the issue that you have with token collection during the boss fight is that sometimes you have to like give up damage to get the tokens out of the way, and there's like this trade-off, either you are optimal with your damage and just ignore the tokens for a bit, or you go for the tokens and you just lose the damage. I think this is especially more relevant for Yomu, because Yomu actually needs the time to set up the slashes and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of times you actually want to move up from the very bottom of the screen so the slashes reach in the first place. Reimu and Marissa don't necessarily have that problem. This is also another benefit of the homing amulets. All the Reimu shots can do this on the second spell, by the way, where you just stay at the bottom and stream slowly. As you can see, the Mentos move very slowly too, especially after growing in size. You can either do that or you can just go up top. This third spell can be tricky though, because they have lots of crisscrossing bullets. Something where you have to just stay higher up and move up and down as needed.
Yeah.
Definitely don't want to sleep on that one. There's obviously Aevean now going into second non-spell for Urumi. This is also a similar idea to what we just talked about with the third spell. Lots of bullets crisscrossing at the bottom, and in this case, these lines of bullets, unlike the other non-spells, they're curved a little bit so they can overlap in pretty weird ways if you're not paying attention. You really want to like read them as far ahead of time as you can, and then just get to the safe spaces. Yeah, they're also doing the streaming at the bottom strat for this second spell here. This can depend a little bit on Urumi's movement, I guess, if you're trying to get some of the focus damage in, and Rainbow
I
Hunter's
would
not gonna
never
have
do this. I would never go to the bottom, I'd just stay up high. I guess maybe they might be worried about the tokens, but yeah, go bottom and you risk this. Never.
And now we get into the third spell for Aevean as well. They're going very high up on this one. I guess basically just keep moving down as much as possible instead of having to go up. It's kind of surprising like how horizontal some of those bullets get too, just looking at that here.
Yeah, in general, WBaO survival early game is not... It doesn't have that many threats.
Yeah.
We might see.
Yeah, it's
a lot
not very
more.
intensive. And even the stuff that is still maybe like middle of the road.
Yeah.
You don't want to sleep on them, but you don't have to worry too much about them as long as you stay calm.
Yeah, as long as you stay focused and calm.
Yeah.
Early game should pass by.
In particular, though, people meme Stage 3 so much because of how much streaming it is, and slow streaming at that, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. I always enjoy the music for this stage, though, so that helps pass the time. You can stream to the beat of the music, too, if you want. Anything to keep yourself entertained. Even more demonstration of how much Rainbow Eagle's homing amulets can destroy this part of the stage, though. Look at this, they don't even have to spawn any of the bullets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because the section would definitely be impossible if they were to spawn bullets. Oh no! Streaming bullets. Oh no,
Tapping
Rice.
out of the way every 2 ways, whatever shall I do?
Oh shit. See here,
Yeah, this is probably
Aevean
the only
is even
threatening part
choosing
of
to
the
not shoot
stage
at
3
all.
stage portion, though. At the very end, you have more of these big fairies that keep respawning until the end of the stage. You can
Is
keep
Aevean
shooting
actually
these,
doing it
these down.
pacifist? I think Aevean is doing pacifist
Yes,
stage there.
probably so they don't obscure any of the bullets with their own shots. That you'll notice that can be a bit of a problem with some of the shots in this game.
I'm speechless right now. The type of shit you have to do to entertain people on this stage. Kotaka first non is probably the hardest of her non-spells, mostly because the second and third non tend to be like very delayed of the danger it comes a bit later. First non is immediately dangerous usually.
For the first non though, you could still move pretty high up and get into that open space between the lanes of, I call them egg bullets just because of their color and because of the chicken theming, but you get into the lanes above these sets of bullets and just move left and right like this. Some of the shots can also just finish it before you even get this far into the non-spell. It makes it even easier that way. And this is probably the hardest part for Kotaka here, because you have these rings spawning at the very bottom, and you have to dodge stuff from below, crisscrossing bolts from below. It's kind of hard to avoid dodging both sets at once, I find, especially because later into the spell card, the lanes actually get tighter and tighter, so the lasers actually restrict your movement up there even more.
If you
Once again, depending on your shot, though,
tokens,
you can end that sooner rather than later and avoid having to deal all that.
If you get an hyper like this, and you can actually like be safe and do final hop like this. Otherwise, if you couldn't, I think final is way harder than the second spell.
Yeah, well, the trick with this one is that those wisps that are flowing down from the sides of Kotaka fire suicide bullets, or revenge bullets, really. But the thing is, if you shoot them, like when you're at point blank, you can seal those bullets. Otherwise, though, you can just not shoot anything and maybe just time this out. This game doesn't actually have any sort of a challenge bonus for capturing that attack, unlike some of the other games we've seen. Break, he says.
I think it's I think it's probably because the timeout is basically just as hard.
I mean, I haven't done it myself in a while. I'm not sure like how debatable that is, because again, you're not really shooting anything, so you don't have to worry about the revenge bullets. It's one of those things that depends on Kotaka's movement, because the wisps follow her, follow with her. If she moves to one side and stays there for a while, you can leave yourself a pretty open space.
Okay.
Following some different action here. Going back to... Yeah, it sounds like we're listening into Sowako now. This is one of the things I like stylistically about Yomu's shots in this game, though, is that her unfocused shots have this gradius effect. They all just follow her movements right behind her. So you can get yourself some pretty spread damage when unfocused, too, if you don't want to worry about like charging up your slash and mistiming it or whatever.
See how Aevean is gonna handle final now.
Aevean, I guess, because they're in the final. Looks like they're going for the pacifist strat here. Another benefit of not shooting and not clogging the screen up with many other fireballs that the wisp fire is that you can just take your time and read any other tokens on our screen and pick them up so you get a neutral hyper.
I also just think that perhaps Reimu's amulets, since they are very spread out, you always run the risk of killing one of the wisps that spawn above Kotaka. I was looking at Bakemi.
But like the obvious solution would be to stay focused as much as you can too.
I mean, yeah, just like you have to stop shooting sometimes because the problem at the needles.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Getting some progress into stage 4 now, but now that Bakemi's back. One thing they're demonstrating here is that these wheel ghosts, or yin-yangs is what they're popularly known as, actually have so much health that you have to kind of follow them along as they're coming in from the right side of the screen to actually kill them. If you stay in place, even as someone that's like WBaWC, they can actually get past your shots and potentially clog up the screen that way. But slowly stream with them and you can kill them all before they get too far in.
I think the only shot that can consistently kill them without following is like, other than Yomu slashes, is like Marisa Wolf. Marisa Otter cannot do it.
Yeah, she's even stronger than WBaWC in this case.
As Sowako reaches final, we are going to see why Yomu threads final. Hopefully, Sowako, please. Have a normal strategy.
This would be a good time to pick up any other tokens that are on the screen when you have a neutral hyper, especially between boss attacks. Oh, that's a hit right there, actually. As far as I'm aware...
What?
Yeah, they touched a bullet while their hyper was active. That should count as one miss, I believe.
It is one miss, yes.
Yes.
That's not a normal strategy, Sowako. Oh.
Yeah, I guess one consideration for Yomu on this final spell too is that if you're pushed down to the bottom like this and you slash, you'll still be causing them to fire all their revenge bullets. And you may not necessarily want them restricting your movement to get past the other bullets that are just falling in behind them. So it looks like that's why they're going for the passive strat here too.
Yeah, the trick is to just start slashing on the very first wave and you keep the slashes at a correct timing and you always spawn kill them. And the space
if you can keep up,
large.
then you just trivialize the whole section, but if you can't keep up, then you basically can't recover at that point.
Yeah. Mid-boss, this I believe is the only pattern that is fully completely static. It's not even randomly rotated, I think.
Yeah,
it's just like fully 100% static.
This is the... Ooh.
Oh, what the...
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. It may be static, but it is still very tight, so not necessarily something you can just totally just cruise through either. Make sure you get through everything properly. I suppose also as a Reimu Eagle, you're going to have less powerful focus shots, and you may have to face more waves than usual.
Yeah.
Some of this on Aevean's screen here too. Well, they found a safe spot for the first parts of these waves. That's funny. Really showing their expertise with this game. All these little details.
And on the every other non-spell I believe is static but randomly rotated.
I'm not aware if it's randomly rotated. I think that might also be static too, but
it's definitely
either way, it would
not
still be
fully
very
static.
vulnerable.
The pattern is likely static but rotated because looks the same, but it's always the gaps are in different places every time, but they are always the same gaps.
That's a fun route through the tortoiseshell hell there. Basically, the idea is you want to go through where a lot of those collections of bullets just go into like the triple junctions, as I call them, the points they all go into the center, and then when they spread out again, you can just slip through them. Another death? Okay, that's getting really unfortunate there.
Bruh.
Stuck at not full power for this spell here. You can see this. The trick is to circle around and like misdirect a lot of the fireballs. They actually take a moment to start following you once they get first fired out, so you can misdirect them like that. There's really multiple ways to do it. You can circle either direction or just go back and forth like what Bakemi did. This is actually something that can catch players off guard too. The Yachiei's final spell, if she moves down and right in a certain way, it can actually cause some of the blue and yellow rings to get so close together, almost like that actually, that they can actually they can legitimately crush you. So when that happens, you actually want to like read when Yachiei is moving in that particular direction and then maybe move to a different spot, usually to the right. It is kind of rare though for it to move to the point where it actually will legitimately crush you. You can survive some pretty tight spaces like what Bakemi demonstrated. If you're cautious though, they definitely want to have a different route in mind in case something like that were to happen. Into the final spell here for Aevean. As far as I'm aware, she moves left and you're pretty much golden on these waves, so it's pretty easy to remember.
A bit more streaming.
They're doing the micro-streaming strat for the pink fairies here at the start of stage 5. You can either do it this way, or you can just do macro-streaming going all the way back and forth.
Sure, precise.
And then more speed-killing fairies
fine.
here. Doesn't even matter that they're using someone other than Yomu. There's just one at a time, so you just kill them straight from the bottom like this. Not much of their pattern spawns. And here's probably the other section where Reimu's homing amulets can actually really benefit you. You kill a lot of these enemies before they fire too many bullets. Even if you stay on focus like this, there's a lot of space to move around.
And one thing that you really want here is to make sure that you have an hyper, you start the hyper like before the mid-boss, mostly because you don't really want to accidentally collect any tokens you don't want as you do these spins.
Yeah, this is another cheese strat people found. No reason not to do this in a survival challenge like this. It really does seem like they're going for a lot of these special tokens too. They've gotten, I think, most of them at this point.
For fun, wire as well. See if Sowako gets crashed. Hopefully not. That's fine.
Hopefully not. Yeah, Yashi is being...
Yomu can speed kill before the second wave.
So far, but she's moved to the top of the screen like this the first wave. You might have that issue going to the second wave if you don't kill it fast enough.
Bakemi got a second miss somewhere during Yachi, I think maybe second.
Yeah, it was another one of their non-spells. Definitely going for the neutral hyper here, clearing out all of these beast tokens.
This is something you wouldn't do particularly in Mayumi, because on her second spell you have to move a lot, so your chance to collect tokens you do not want are very high.
Yeah, that's why you try to collect as many as you can, like, right after spell cards, just get a lot of downtime.
Yep.
You can really control the situation going into the next spell card if you have to move higher up during it. Even during something like this when there's not many tokens to worry about. You either do it up there or you stay towards the bottom, it's just streaming back and forth between static patterns. But this non-spell here, this is where the real difficulty curve of the game actually kicks in. You can see how much tighter these are. Obviously staying at the bottom is suicide, just like with the first non-spell, but it's actually a lot harder than it looks to stay within those lanes in the second non-spell, because of how tight they are.
The trick is to just follow where Mayumi moves and stick as close as you can to the side of the arrows tunnel she moved to.
And the second spell here is a lot of more resource management, like, in a sense, in terms of like killing a lot of those idols.
The second spell is gonna be actually nice, just as hard for Rainbow Eagle. I was about to say harder for Rainbow Wolf, but it's Rainbow Otter, but it's the same.
Yeah, I mean the Rainbow Eagle shots are not quite as strong as Rainbow W's focus shots. Is the idea. This third spell here, depending on where the randomly spawned cavalry idols appear, like in the second half of each wave, you can if they don't appear on top of Mayumi, you can actually speed kill that spell pretty easily. It's pretty easy shot.
Aevean?
Which non-spell is this? Is this the
Second.
Yeah, this looks like
one.
the second one. Yeah, that's not unexpected, really. I'm not kidding when I say that this non-spell is very tight. It's one of those things where you may even have to move like diagonally to give yourself more horizontal precision, even though that risks actually pushing you down into some arrows that are like crisscrossing underneath you too. You really do not have a lot of space to move.
I think Sowako also died somewhere. Did I miss it? I forget.
They're getting towards the boss of stage 5 here. Still says one miss on the counter, but someone else can chime in if there's anything else we might have missed.
If there were misses, it's gonna update any second.
Aevean having to move back and forth a lot on this spell here. Depending on when you kill some of these idols, that can actually delay the next time that they spawn pretty far, because they spawn at set times, so if you kill them at particular times, you can actually give yourself a lot more room to move. Which is very helpful because you definitely want to be keeping up with those, otherwise they're going to get towards the bottom of the screen and just clog things up. Third non-spell here, you want to do this misdirect towards one of the sides if you can help it, because it's actually not very obvious where you need to move.
What?
Oh no.
Yeah, if that non-spell is actually aimed down towards the center, following what look like the obvious lanes is actually kind of a trap because of the way they crisscross. Bakemi actually not circling around during this non-spell. This is another one like the stage 5 mid-boss non-spell where you can just circle around over Mayumi's head over and over.
Not
Then
sure
again,
why.
I guess it's pretty learnable doing it this way too, so I don't necessarily blame them for doing it that way either, if they're comfortable with it. This Aevean wanted more practice on this, like a warm-up. And you have to go pretty high up too, with Sowako demonstrated, to actually misdirect these waves. If you can't keep up, it definitely becomes harder to dodge future waves. It's one of those damage races in a sense, because you want to not be facing as many of these waves as you can. And Wolf's powerful shots definitely help. Same
Right
here
now
with doing a lot of these
it's,
idols. We didn't really talk too much about what they were doing with the rest of this fight, but you can see how much Yomu Slashes just trivializes them whole Miami boss fight, because they deal so much damage, and because these things only spawn at set times, you just clear them out like with a quick charge. You can charge up beforehand, take them out right as they spawn, and then you get like almost nothing the rest of the way. It's pretty sick.
Okay. We saw a bit from Bakemi how stage 6 is a bit of a bother with anything that is in Yomu, and now you see stage 6 is empty with Yomu. By the way, Bakemi doing a misdirect for square creature.
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways people like to do this one. These squares are actually aimed in a way, so you misdirect them over to the side like this to give yourself more room to dodge between them. Although I would argue it's not even necessary. It's another one of those things where following the obvious lanes, quote-unquote, is a trap, so you go the other way. And there's actually some pretty consistent gaps that I've found you can fit through.
Any gap that is large of the any gap from
this is
the
a bullet
larger
you
group.
still got a small hitbox. Even if Reimu doesn't have the smaller hitbox out of all the characters anymore, it's still small enough for this.
Okay, let me be judging. I think top strat here is very useless, and I am liking Bakemi doing it at the bottom. Nice. Guys, top circle creature is fake.
I think
I'm gonna say it.
There's multiple different ways to misdirect these circles. You keep them off like the very bottom center of the screen like this, and you give yourself a lot more room to just sit there at the bottom.
Yeah.
The main difficulty with that spell is more so like surviving the first wave, where you have to dodge in a corner and then go back through it as they retreat. This third non-spell can actually also be kind of tricky because these comets kind of take up a lot of space. Yeah, now here we get to the real meat of the fight. Linear creature, what I would consider to be maybe the most dangerous attack in the game, just because of how volatile it can be.
Nah,
you can somewhat keep track of where the laser grid might be based on Keiki's movement, but it still gets so tight and it gets very hard to see with some shots. There's a lot of winging it involved a lot of the time, so anytime you can get through that spell is definitely a good sign. This is also
this is the spell you don't want to do with Rainwater or Eagle.
And they're doing a little bit, I guess, similarly with using Reimu Eagle's focus shots, which is kind of a similar idea. Yeah, you don't want to be rushing through those because you kind of have to sit there almost the whole way down to actually kill those cavalry idols. Otherwise, they'll just get to ram you. Especially you try to rush through the rest of the grid pattern that's falling down around them. You definitely want to make sure they're killed first before you go through. This fifth spell here is fully static as far as I'm aware.
Blues aimed.
And now we get to the other thing that's most famous about this game is Geometric Creature, Keiki's sixth spell.
Oh yeah, this is really
the actual
this one is also pattern. Technically aimed, but the pattern to actually get through it is very awkward and unintuitive. There's like certain ways to misdirect where the red waves in particular are going. Ooh, yeah.
And
but it's still very tight.
I'm not sure
regardless.
what that was. Oh, that's some weird misdirect I've never seen.
Like going way to the side to like spread out the red bullets some more. Any help you can get on that is welcome, but if you ask me. Making sure they got a neutral hyper going into this. You got a Idola Diabolus, I hope that's the correct pronunciation of that. It's been a while. But yeah, this is another multi-phase spell, pretty typical for final spells. Depending on what your shot is, like if you keep shooting throughout most of this, you can actually control. There's certain points when the waves change. Looks like they're delaying it a little bit here. Alternatively, you can just let the timer go down. Just like in Touhou 16, it changes every 30 seconds. So you can get it pretty consistently by just timing out each phase. But what they're doing there is just weakening Kekini just enough so it's just before when the next phase would begin if they were just damaging it normally. And then just waiting for the next 30-second mark to pass, and then just keep firing so that by the time they get to the 4th phase, they can just end the spell as quickly as possible.
It's basically, you always want to time out the red and the blue phase, because if you do that, they sync up really nicely and create tunnels that you can follow from right to left, as they are doing right now. You can see from right to left.
Yeah, alternatively though, you may not necessarily want them overlapping, even if it is kind of consistent that way. You may not necessarily want them overlapping all the time, so some shots they might even consider, like, you know, depending on how strong they are, they can just keep shooting Keiki and time them so they're a bit spread out. They can do the same thing with some of the future waves too.
Nice.
It's definitely one of those things you have to practice and actually like learn what's most comfortable for you.
Oh, what the fuck is this?
Oh, is that one of the idols, I guess, the design on the end of that stick?
Yeah.
Going through a ghost.
Ah, Sowako.
Yeah, nice first run from
this geometric creature really is rough if you're not prepared for it. There's a reason people hype it up as like one of the big sticking points of this game, especially for survival runs. Helpful here too that Yomu W slashes can reach pretty easily from the bottom like this, so you don't have to worry about moving up and collecting too many of those wolf tokens. You may have noticed that during the last 2 spells, that all sorts of tokens of the same color as your subshot just keep spawning in. Meant to be lore related, but not necessarily good for our purposes here. Yeah, good to see some of the players get some of these runs in, like starting out, especially with some of the harder shots. Get a few points on the board. Definitely some room for improvement going forward here too.
Okay, seems like the work is doing fine right now, setup-wise.
Yeah, they definitely seem to have a good idea of when to cancel some of these lanes so they're not fully overlapping with each other. That can give you a bit more room to like... That can give you a bit more room to like find lanes through everything, from my experience. That's why you may necessarily want 2 lanes overlapping with each other, like with the timeout strats.
I mean, as I said, like the red and blue, if you time out, they don't overlap. They create the largest possible tunnel, and the yellow one is the one you actually want to care, because if you don't pay attention, if you kill the yellow wave incorrectly, and the pink wave is gonna start overlapping on the tunnels, so it actually becomes hard. So
it's very interesting to learn like all the different ways you can control when all the phases are timed next to each other.
Yeah.
And especially because it'll be different for a lot of the different shots because they just naturally have different damage outputs. Aevean just cruising through this second boss here. Making sure they collect the right beast tokens though going into the next stage.
Oh, Sowako actually switched to Marisa Otter.
Yeah, they got one run in with one of the easier shots, but now they want to improve their score if they can. Marisa is kind of interesting because even though she doesn't have the crazy damage of her wolf shot or even someone like Reimu Wolf, I find that her focus shots actually still do decent damage. It's not the worst in the game by any stretch of the imagination. So against bosses, which are where a lot of the really hard stuff is going to be, it's still pretty serviceable. There's some other parts of the game though that Marisa generally struggles with, which we'll get to later on. And that's the reason why someone like Marisa still gets a lot of points for this, despite having, I guess, more serviceable boss damage.
Yeah, from what I've been told by Sowako, he actually struggles so much with using Yomu slashes that he does feel more comfortable with Marisa from what I remember, even though Marisa Alter is way worse.
There's definitely a skill barrier for Yomu in this game as well as 10 Desires, which is where she shares that same kind of shot archetype. There's not a whole lot of room for forgiveness, really. If you accidentally don't charge a slash enough and you release too early, you just get nothing. There's like no room for error on that. You really have to make sure it's charged all the way before you release.
Yeah, Yumu is pretty unforgiving to play, but anyone who can master Yumu...
Yeah, if you can cross that barrier, obviously you reap some massive benefits.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If you're trying to get a little too fancy with that non-spell, I guess. It is just barely possible to like go through those lanes if you dash through them, but yeah. Maybe not the best idea in a timed survival match.
Time is ticking.
About halfway through at this point, right? Because we started with 75 minutes.
The clock is ticking. Okay.
You can really see though, like the beginning parts of this game just don't give you a. There's not a whole lot like clogging up the screen if you shoot down the right enemies, so there's a lot of room to move around any of the tokens if you so desire, or just collect them early. But the thing is though, if you collect a lot of these tokens early on and get many hypers, even if you're just guaranteeing like neutral hypers for certain points, that's still spawning extra tokens once the hyper runs out. I still see players like prefer to use that strategy, but something else that I've tried that for a lot of time that also works is just like not collecting many tokens throughout most of the game and just waiting for like a break in the action. Something like boss dialogue or the end of a spell card, as we talked about earlier. If you're playing as Yomu, that's obviously a bit trickier because you do have to go higher up a lot, but as Reimu or Marisa, you can actually stay towards the bottom and just pick your spots to go higher up during certain parts of the game. By minimizing how many hypers you get in general, that also minimizes how many tokens are on the screen too. That's just my perspective on it.
I honestly don't even think it matters too much. Just
yeah,
I think
definitely a preference
the
thing.
tokens,
You can get used to either strategy, for sure. Many players have demonstrated that over the years.
I think the issues with tokens only comes on a few key patterns and not really just overall during the game.
It's interesting, like, you still have some resource management where certain spell cards, because you do go higher up a lot during them, and to make sure you don't collect the wrong beast token at the wrong time, you want to make sure you collect certain other ones at different times. I never actually thought you can go that high up on that spell, but it makes sense now I think about it.
If you trust in the amulets to kill, you do it. I've never done it myself too.
Yeah, you just get focus damage early on and then finish it off with the amulets as you just move up to dodge the whole columns of bullets that are spawning.
Yeah, I still have had my fair share amount of weird kills. Thank you, scoring.
Getting back to stage 2 for a couple players here. Even some of these streaming sections, it's mostly straightforward as someone like Marisa, because the bullets don't move that fast. Yeah, and they're demonstrating a bit of a safe spot. It's not maybe like the highest spot you can go on that pattern, but it is fully static, so you can just stay in place and just fire at that big fury from right beneath it. As Kastari would say, imagine dodging in a shmup.
There is no dodge.
The bullets dodge you. That's what happens.
So I'm
instead
surprised
streaming from the left side
Bakemi...
during this part here, but it's the same general idea. Because the big fairy keeps respawning in until a certain point, you just don't bother with it. Just let it go off the screen. And then stream the rest where you have a lot more room to move.
I'm surprised Bakemi is playing Rainbow Eagle again, because I thought they would switch to the weaker shot as well.
I mean, it still gets a lot of points, same as Marissa Otter. So if they're comfortable with it, they might as well. It's definitely high. They have definitely a high enough score that they can get like a higher score than a Rainbow Otter run that gets more misses than them. They also have to worry about like tiebreakers in that sense.
Oh, what is this audio?
And right now
What
it's
the hell?
Aevean stream, I believe. It's the end of stage 2.
The bloop recorded in the ocean, same shit. Like a nightmare.
Sowako's definitely getting themselves a good setup with their beast tokens here.
God, these shots
They
deal no
got
damage.
one of each color beast token plus a bomb piece one. That guarantees no matter which token they pick up. If they were to run into one during that last spell, that they wouldn't activate a Berserk Roaring mode. A lot of places definitely consider getting that set up throughout the game.
Bulk creepypasta goes crazy.
Why you don't play Bubak at 3 AM?
Literally what's happening right now. Not for them, I guess. I'm witnessing Wubauka 3 AM, it's like... I think the otters will soon try to attack me.
I fear there's a legitimate concern it might put players to sleep at that time of day or night.
That is quite literally what's also happening to me. I think the moment
Yeah,
this
I guess
match
one thing to
ends,
consider for stage 3, that part that Sowako was just on, where they have the Mentos fairies. When you have two of them firing at once, they can kind of clog up the screen a little bit, and you're on your way to some of the next fairies in the sequence. So it helps to actually like slowly stream along with them, so you get the openings of their bullets like right underneath where the next fairy spawns. Just a little detail I found to make that part easier and more consistent.
these shots
Yeah, a
do
little
no
scary there towards the end of that second
damage.
wave.
It's fine.
Yeah, so I guess Mersadder's focus damage still isn't quite enough to end it before the second wave really gets to the dangerous part, though. There's a little bit of navigating through the egg bullets and the lanes at the same time.
Why does everyone do that Urumi second spell like this? I guess with Rainbow Eagle it's fine because the unfocus is so strong, but man.
I mean, I found it works with the other Rainbow shots too, where it's not as strong. The thing is, like, the Mentos move so slowly that you barely have to move at all when you're streaming. If you're not comfortable with it taking so long, I can definitely understand that, but if you're more inclined towards safety, it's definitely something you can get used to. Just have to watch out for the other bullets falling down around you.
Great token! Great token in survival. Never thought I'd see it ever. It ran.
Things I can definitely get pick up a little bit here going into Mitaka boss fight, though.
So far, a good performance from everyone, I think.
Yeah, the more runs you can get into the late game with this game, the better. A lot of the hard stuff may be concentrated towards the end, but you definitely want as many opportunities at those things as you can get. Definitely very helpful if you're going for no bomb runs in this game yourself. It can definitely be motivating to get so many runs towards the end because the beginning parts are relatively consistent. This is the easy part for the second non-spell. Just flip up between these lanes of egg bullets and then go back and forth through the rest.
Oh!
Yeah, that can happen.
No, no! Amurria.
I have to wonder if you're staying up like very close to Kutaka too, you might get like a little bit of visual overwhelm from the lasers too, and that might distract you from the bullets come from below. But then again, if you're going down too far below, then the bullets going to be more angled, like diagonally, as opposed to vertically. But that's definitely a bit of a balancing act in terms of like how much you want to deal with crisscrossing bullets versus how much space you have to move in the first place.
Just 30 minutes left.
Yeah, they seem pretty comfortable navigating through those lanes, even on the first spell. Or first non-spell, rather. Yeah, for the most part, this first spell is learnable itself, too. It's just static waves, but you have to deal with Kutaka's positioning each time, so you have to keep an eye out for any leftover bullets from previous waves. Yeah, there
So you can see, I'm noticing a tiny, like a really tiny optimization that Aevean does on Kutaka nons, like on Sowako. Aevean, I think, likes to take the waves that come, like, how do I say this? He likes to take a tunnel that comes from the right side. In this case, it's gonna be in the left, maybe, like that, you see. That way, when you move on the side, you actually still do some damage. Sowako, especially with Marisa, was losing damage due to taking a tunnel that is, like, straight above you, and you go to the side and lose some damage. It might make the difference when it comes to like...
Yeah, that's a typical thing for any pattern that involves like lanes going back and forth. If you want to maximize the amount of time you're staying under the boss, if you can help it. And that's just a case-by-case basis in terms of like figuring out like which lanes will give you that. Pretty consistently though, we're seeing players do this pacifist strat on the final spell here.
It's fine.
It just helps to reduce that, like, how many bullets you have to deal with as possible, even if the revenge bullets are aimed. You can see, even if Kutaka starts hanging out towards your side of the screen, it's really not that big of a deal because the wisps spawn in all the same places. Now, Bakemi gets their next chance at second spell here. There's definitely like a pretty big risk of like dodging both rings at the same time. Normally you want to avoid that as much as you can.
That second spell can be surprising if you're not paying too much attention.
Yeah, I mean, I think people would agree it's the hardest attack of that boss fight.
I think I find the first non much more threatening. Like way more threatening.
The first non may not last very long depending on your shot. But even then,
even a single wave I think for me is harder. I'm not sure, maybe it's because for like I never dodge first non on scoring and I have to dodge second spell for scoring depending on the thing, but yeah, that's what I'm used to. Even a single wave of first non is like harder for me.
It's like a mix of like, you know, survival aspects in the scoring runs that they transfer over. Very good demonstration from Bakemi though of sealing the revenge bullets by just shooting those wisps point blank. And actually kind of similar to the pacifist strat, it's just staying on one side the whole time and picking which wisps to shoot. And that gets rid of even more bullets.
This shit's so goofy.
Definitely takes some getting used to, just understand that those enemies there, the yin-yangs, are just so tanky that you have to drift along with them, otherwise they're just gonna get past you. At least some of these intermittent parts are pretty learnable, because you know the big fairies just spawn on all the same spots, and you just follow the the parts of the grid where they go in there. Short during this part though, because there's a third big fairy that kind of sneaks in behind the first two that appear, so you definitely want to make sure that you're killing that as it comes in and not just letting it slip past you there too. Turning around during this part might be kind of tricky for some shots too, because you have you have two different groups of enemies firing at the same time. You have to understand like when the second group is going to appear, so you can start following them. Fortunately, the first group kind of dies pretty instantly when they go back over you anyway. But the point is you want to start streaming in one direction for the other bullets that the wisps fire as you're doing that second half of the wave. Yeah, something we didn't talk about in some of the previous runs though is that this part here just before the stage 4 mid-boss is one of the parts that's probably the hardest as non-Reimu shots, and this is why even someone like Reimu Eagle might not get as many points as some of the others. You can see these homing ambush just kill these wisps very easily. Even as the non-Eagle sub-shots, you can follow most of them pretty easily, and they get rid of so many of these thicker rings of red arrowheads.
And it's especially gonna be
if
a
you're playing as
problem
Marissa
for
or Yoga and you
Sowako.
can't keep up though, that can get pretty hectic. It's one of those things where you may just have to go to a corner and wait it out if you can't keep up properly.
It's very safe to do it with Yomu. Marisa's realistically is the only problematic one.
Yeah, I suppose Yomu's wider slashes could help get a bunch of those wisps too. Hopefully we get to see a Sowako type of that section here shortly.
Like I think the character that has the actual worst rings is Marisa Otter.
Yeah, certainly, because she doesn't have any sort of spread, no horizontal range in her shots to really cover that spot.
Yeah. Maybe said you tend to struggle a little bit more on stage sections that requires spreads or homing.
Yeah, there aren't really too many spots in the game though where that really comes into play. That said, it can for challenge runs like this, it definitely is important because every miss counts.
Yep.
This is also a pretty consistent strat for second spell for Yachie. It's just circling over her head once you see an opening. We hope that our Dragon Crest Bullets behaves.
Yep.
Behave.
Ooh, looks like she went.
Oh, that might actually be the bad spot. Let's see here. How tight is this?
Oh, this is fine. She
Not so
moved
bad.
right.
Fine.
Maybe she didn't move down enough. Sometimes it can be hard to tell because she's sitting underneath all these rings of arrowheads.
Yeah.
One plus side though is usually if she moves down one way, she'll move up on the next one, and that's guaranteed to not crush you. If that were to happen.
Hey.
Bakemi makes that back and forth strat look pretty easy actually, especially with Reimu Eagle's homing amulets. Normally you might want to stick to like circling around in just one direction throughout the whole thing.
Fine movement.
Yeah, she has been very nice this match.
Let's pray it stays that way.
Second one.
Check out this one, hold on a second. Yeah, probably similar
Fine,
moves of what
that's fine.
Aevean saw there actually. There's a bit of open space towards the left after getting out of those blue rings. Wonder if Aevean's trying to sync up with Bakemi here.
Kind of out. Maybe just, yeah, toilet World
Well,
Cup.
for a moment there I actually thought they were doing it because they paused at the same time too.
And now the streaming.
Yeah, if you want to give yourself more space to go into the next wave, it helps to make sure you end up right in the center of the screen, right as that big fairy comes in. Not strictly necessary, but if you want to get those jelly bean bullets out of the way, it can definitely help.
I think if you stream at this speed, you also exactly end up below the first larger fairy here. Like this is
it's
okay, I was
definitely a
about to say
consistent
this is
strat.
about. That was a bit off, but it's definitely fine.
Close enough. There's also a lot of downtime between like the first 4 or 5 of these fairies. It's only the last 2 that actually appear closer together. But in the meantime, there's a lot more room to move around, and maybe possibly collect some tokens and set up for the mid-boss coming up if you want. Definitely something you might want to do before the screen gets chock full of these other bullets from these fairies. I'm actually debating whether micro versus macro thanks to the beginning of stage 5 is easier. Another spirit strike there. They ran into a bullet while a hyper was active.
That's the first miss.
You never want to say like any miss is good, but you have to wonder if like you might want to be saving some of those for the harder attacks as well. If you can help it. I suppose getting that close to Mayumi and set up for the spinning strat, I wonder if they even collide with the boss a little bit. It's kind of hard to tell because the bullets are like spawning right on top of them visually.
Yeah, the problem there was that they, as I said, you definitely want to have an hyper start, have an hyper going during the mid-non, and they tried so hard to get the hyper right, they didn't have the time to move up.
Yeah, that's part of what I was talking about with getting the hyper set up during the 6 fairies that fire like left, right earlier. You get 4 tokens set up then because you can just collect 1 token right as the mid-boss starts. I guess it's just another little
That's a weird
optimization to help you
dodge.
out for a survival run that time. People liking these top streaming strats for the Mayumi's first spell. As long as they're staying low enough that they don't get like totally shotgunned by some of these pink bullets, that's all good enough there. But now comes the real test.
It's fine.
It's always a relief for like when you can get like yourself into the perfect position like right at the start of one of those waves, and you don't have to move too much for the second one and worry about like messing up your positioning. That doesn't always happen, unfortunately.
I really like what Bakemi did right there. I'm not sure if it was talked about, but I've never seen it. They misdirected the Aniwas above Mayumi, so they created some space where you can actually damage
Yeah,
Mayumi.
and it also gets to what I was talking about earlier, when you kill these idols at different times, and you cause them to respawn later, and that gives you more open space, if you can keep up that pattern throughout the wave.
Yeah.
Imagine you get through that non-spell pretty easily,
kill.
actually, without too many misdirects.
Aevean is probably just at the toilet. Nice.
Yeah, that time none of the cavalry idols actually spawn right on top of Mayumi, so you just get a lot of free damage in as the rest of them are coming down. Yeah, typical trick for the final spell though is to kill the fencer idols first and then stream everything else until the next wave starts. Even vertically like this if you want more damage on Mayumi. Makes it so you don't have to actually do the second wave entirely.
Right. We had
Yeah,
two
it should still be
stages
Ellen
switch
and
at the
Pace
same
for
time.
Aevean because they still have the full bomb stock.
Yeah, if there was a miss, it would have shown on the world feed.
The usual thing too, where you just check the bomb counter to see if that got reset to a lower number.
It could always be a break and you don't lose the bombs. You can't
Yeah, that's
be
fair enough
sure.
too. Something a bit more specific to this game, and not some others.
Oh, back.
Yep, he's back. You saw Bakemi was not using the spin strat on the stage 6 mid-non spell.
I hate this.
And they're doing the same here this time. Once again, it's still not that difficult, even doing it normally, quote-unquote, so it's just a matter of personal preference.
Yeah, they should be fine.
Timing that down just a little bit so they didn't get some of the yin-yangs at the end, like the holdover enemies, as the stage times itself down to this part here. This may not be kind of very obvious though, but this part here towards the end of stage 6 is actually a good spot to get a neutral hyper going to, so you can guarantee a neutral hyper during a certain point during the Keiki fight. Mainly during the second non-spill if you choose to do the circling strat, because that's also obviously higher up on the screen.
Okay. Focus up.
Aevean getting these neutral hyper going well before the stage 5 mid-boss. So they can get fewer tokens on the screen later on, they should still be good. But yeah, the thing to consider for a Keiki's opener is that it's actually aimed, but the spot where it's aimed at is pretty much impassable, so you have to go to the side anyway. Alright, misdirect strats on square creature again. Pretty open space, starting out. You can see it does look very tight towards the end where there's not really much of a misdirect anymore. But if you know where that spot is,
Oh, and
you can usually get through it.
I think that spot there specifically was a bit poorly aimed. It was very diagonal. You don't really want it to be diagonal. Yeah, it's kind of hard to aim the second wave of square creature, because for the first wave you can use the dot of the hyper slots as a visual reference, but for the second wave,
and then going to the other side of the screen
gorilla.
for the second wave is a lot less obvious there too. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, the throw strat.
Yeah, so to do this earlier, they just have to get through the beginning here. Misdirect everything away from the very bottom center. You can really get creative in terms of like where you put all those rings. So many different ways that can work. I guess it's appropriate that you get like all sorts of artistic expression against the artist boss. Alright, hopefully they're able to power through this third non here. Definitely able to hold some of the amulets. And your creature once again.
Thank you for the raid.
Another thing to consider for the near creature is that these lasers activate at different times, so you can actually like read where some of the tracers are, and then maybe push up into a different cell if you want to. Oh, preferably one that's a lot more open.
Will usually depend on Keiki's position, because the higher she is, usually the more off sync they go.
Oh yeah. Same goes for if Keiki goes to the side.
Yeah, when Keiki, anytime
because then that
Keiki
causes
is
the
close
bullets
to
to
a
spawn their
side,
lasers at different times compared to if she was in the center.
yeah, anytime she's close to a side or the ceiling, what happens is the bullets kind of overlap with when the lasers appear, because yeah, the lasers appear so quickly they overlap with the bullets. Sometimes it's a bit tricky.
It's even more the volatility what we're talking about with that spell. It seems like they have a lot of these idols under control here in terms of when he's killing them.
Speaking of creativity, there is a dodge that I do on Oni-shaped creature that I have never seen anyone else do.
I'm afraid I was looking away in this case, but because it's fully static, I can definitely see why something like that might work. I think relying on positioning at the very bottom here for these red waves, it may not always be something you want to do though.
Oh man,
just
what?
because of how tight it is.
Man, every time I don't expect the death, I keep not seeing what they are dying to.
I feel like I'm taking over Gastari's jinxing duties this time because I'm the main commentator.
They do that?
That's the real reason why.
And you people really like to dodge diagonally, huh? Why are you all super players that can dodge diagonally, apparently? Anytime I have to dodge something
More
diagonally, it's
optimization
like
because
PDH.
it's just less horizontal movement. So extra precision when you're trying to go in specifically that direction.
Diagonal equals PDH. Quote me on that.
Yeah. Diagonal dash or just diagonal tap. The one I'm most familiar with Geometric Creature is at the very end of the red wave, you just tap up left. As long as you're staying in the center and not really misdirecting it. And that's one of the main things we're talking about with muscle memory though, because from my experience, I basically have to make sure I tap both the up and left ones at the exact same time, like I'm playing a piano chord, really. If I'm off even slightly, that can cause me to actually bump into something right to the side of me.
Aevean is LNN into stage 6.
This is what you want to see. You get these runs very late into the game. More chances that get past some of the actual heart attacks.
Okay, let's see if this is well synced. The Idola Diabolus looks perfect. Looks perfect.
Yeah, they seem to know how to do the time down strats, making sure that they damage Kiki just enough to go into the next wave properly. Very clean. That's definitely an improvement from what they got earlier.
Yeah.
A lot more points.
Sowako is on one
see.
miss.
In this case, it'd be, 3 misses total, so definitely a decent bump up in terms of the number of points. And again, because Rainbow Eagle gets close to the max number of points out of all the shots, that's actually pretty good.
Sowako on rings, maybe? Tap? Super?
Oh yeah, this is where it gets really hard as Marissa, because without any spread...
Oh,
yeah.
right at the end.
Double KOs are always the worst too, the most demotivating. But yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. Without any sort of spread to her shots, you can't kill the Wisps, and they just keep flooding the screen with rings. The most you can do, I would say, is just hang out towards one side and kill some of the ones that are spawning over there. And just hang out in the corner and make sure you can... That actually gets the arrowheads to line up more so in one direction and just dodge that way.
Keiki is shorter than 7 minutes and a half, right? Yeah,
Should be, yeah.
Yeah.
Aevean, please don't waste time. It's kinda might be.
They are still an L and an N in pace going in, so wouldn't surprise me if they're still taking a deep breath there.
Okay, so will Aevean use True Strat or Fake Strat for Circle Creature?
How do they interpret Circle Creature dodging? They're also doing the side misdirect on Square Creature too.
See that?
That is also kind of a tight spot going into the end of this wave here.
No way!
yeah.
That was done and good.
And I guess that's what you were talking about too, with being hard to misdirect the second wave. So
Nah, it's like actually I don't think that doesn't even matter there because the first dodge is not hard. That's just brain fart. The misdirect there didn't matter because like it was set up like somehow that was speed killable.
depending on
Not
how
sure
big your misdirect is, sometimes the spaces can still be pretty small anyway. And I think because Kiki was moving right too in that wave, he wasn't able to
fake,
have that
fake.
much space.
Fake strat, I'm sorry, Aevean. You're fake.
Can't get a perfect run on live stream. You're not a real super player. Definitely make
Nah,
sure you
guys,
get,
it's simple.
neutral
Side
hyper going into
bullets
this one here
equals
because the height
PDH.
is
Oh
tight.
no, Aevean!
Yeah. Like I said, they can cover a lot of space. Sometimes you have to move like all the way to the side of the screen like this just to survive.
Yeah.
I think they mad, so now they just flex. Oh, never mind.
Well, they weren't even using like a unfocused shot while they were on the side either. You definitely want to
Yeah, that's why I was thinking,
get
are
some
they
extra
flexing
chip
now?
damage in. Unless they were just wanting to like focus on dodging straight up until they can get back to the center. Staying kind of low for some of these cells on linear creature. I mean, if they can read the good spots there, that's fair enough, but
Usually the larger
They tend to
gaps are
spread out a
at the
bit more,
bottom.
you know, higher up on the screen.
I think they usually it's at the bottom where it's the largest.
Something to keep in mind for this fourth non, actually, it may look like it's very fast, and especially because the waves come faster and faster with time. But the very fronts of those circles always have yellow stars, so if you just read those yellow stars at the front, you can always position yourself into the safe spots afterwards. There's a lot less information to have to worry about.
Okay, McDonald's.
McDonald's, I can never get over that nickname. It's so appropriate, though. Not exactly easy as Rainbow Otter either because of the lower damage output, but they definitely made that look pretty clean.
Sowako is back to stage 1 with 5 minutes left. I don't like this.
It also seems like Sowako switched to Rainwater.
Trying to get even more points if they can help it.
What? They never
trying to do like a tiebreaker maybe versus Bakemi.
There is 1 million high score. They've literally never played the shot. Oh.
I mean, they did say that whether they might be able to get a perfect run on this stream. Definitely something a player would hope for. Especially if it's their first one for a particular game. Aevean also staying at the very bottom during Geometric Creature. But they seem to have the precision down here going through those waves, but the problem is Rainbow Otter does so little damage, you have to do a fourth one. Yeah, and that's the up left dodge that I was talking about there.
Just clear is LNN is what I'm reading right now.
Yeah, if they have their strat down for Il Diabolus here. I see them slipping in some unfocused shots. I don't know if that's specifically for like just controlling how much damage you do towards the end.
Yeah, depending on how precise you want to be, it's really easy to memorize some visual cues to know exactly where the HP threshold is. For example, for this blue wave here, the threshold is Keiki's her right foot.
Yeah, and the problem is the actual health bar surrounding Kiki doesn't have the delineations like in some other games, so you have to kind of estimate where those cutoff points are.
Yeah, right there I think Aevean's right now is like, no, I can't tell, like the quality is not high enough.
By her right foot now. Get down to that point.
And then here it's just a matter of positioning, of course. With Yomo you want to time the slash, but here with the other shots it's just positioning.
Yeah, it's all auto fire, so a lot more straightforward, obviously.
I think here they are waiting to
a few more seconds for the last phase to start automatically.
Okay, so they actually
just, you know, get as much damage as you can to finish it.
Ah, that's weird. I've never okay, full time down I've never seen, because usually the full time down gets you the pink kunais in the tunnels, which you don't want.
You can kind of see that here. Everything is kind of bunched together, even compared to some of the red and blue waves, actually.
Yeah, I see no reason.
And the way they rotate, you gotta make sure you have a good spot to autocorrect yourself, so you can get back under Kiki and not just get pushed towards one side of the screen like that. Yeah.
GG's.
Still a pretty clean run from Aevean. A little bit of room for improvement, but something you could definitely imagine is within their reach. They have enough time to do another run if they want.
Blocker, thank you.
Really solid run from Aevean.
Reported.
Those are like the kind of things where you look back and say you can easily correct those mistakes, you know?
Oh yeah.
I mean, if they are fast, they have a minute left.
Oh no, people in the chat saying 90 FPS. Don't give them ideas. We're almost at final runtime here. We want to make sure you get the most amount of points with this.
Maybe 90 FPS is a bit much, but 75 I think is a good compromise.
What can remind me, are there actually any rules against like changing the FPS for actual runs? Does that count as like third-party modifications?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so, yeah. Do it. Do it.
Don't tempt him. He's done it so much, he may just make a bad habit come back again.
I mean, unless they want to go for the LNN attempt.
Right. All right. Well, it's final run time according to
This
the
is your
global
final
timer. So
run.
if you gotta die,
Focus
please
up.
don't. Bakemi going into Urumi's second non-spell here. This is a little bit high up for what this attack can do. Maybe not the best attack you want to be going to right after the final run counts too.
Looks like there is some confusion in chat about whether Aevean's run was a 2 or a 3 miss. I did count 2.
Yeah, I thought I remember seeing 2 myself, but definitely want to have an extra pair of eyes if they saw something different.
No, wait, no, it was square, no, okay, yeah, it's fine. Square creature and third non, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's 2 misses.
Yeah, they lost the perfect run on square creature originally, then there was the third non-spell. And I don't believe they had any spirit strikes, like running into something with a hyperactive earlier.
Oh, miss from Sowako.
Yeah. That's definitely not unheard of with that attack, though. Even though you can fit through those lanes, like through the individual bullets in a pinch, it's still not something you really want to rely on. If you can help it, you want to, like, get completely out of their way. Call towards the side here without using the focus shot, though. This is not very good. Okay, I've never seen something like that before, just, like, slipping through 2 of the Mentos right when they've already turned big. At that point, I would just, like, try to do something even bigger to make more space. Yeah, it's actually possible Aevean might be waiting to see how the other runs do, and whether he even needs to play again, because he's in the lead right now. But for the most part, we still got a ways to go before some of the actual hard stuff comes in, relative to the rest of the game. Yeah, they're doing the really high stride on this non-spell too. That's pretty fun when you can pull it off.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, Tapper is just summoning him back with the reverse psychology.
What's the situation
Yeah,
right
I believe
now?
it is their first credit as Rainbow for Sowako. They were using Mursa in the previous one that ended just before final run time kicked in. It is more points for the same amount of misses, so might as well just go for broke at this point. I see this safe spot on the very bottom corners for this grid part of stage 3. I always worry that the fairies are just gonna ram you down there, though.
Trust in the
Yeah, it
process.
looks a bit scary, but it should be
Yeah.
safe.
I mean, because the thing is fully static, there's a bunch of other spots you could stand to if you want.
Okay, Sowako, now LNN. Just so, wait, I forgot what I wanted to say. Sowako did miss once on Urumi. It's weird that the
Yeah, that was the second
counters
one they did.
I'm just gonna say it because maybe World Feed forgot to update. So that happened.
Well, let's look at the Kutaka second spell here for Bakemi. Barely even have to move with some of these ring placements, actually. That's
See, it's
I always
fine,
like seeing
man.
that.
It's not that complex. You do mostly stand still.
Yeah, I mean, you're not always able to do that just because of where the ring might actually be oriented, but if they are positioned in a good spot, then you take that. Maybe some shooting here. They're shooting down some of the side whisks to seal their bullets. Usual stuff. Because you kill some of those wisps early, they also stop shooting those other bullets. Gives you even more space to continue that pattern. At this point, you do have to be a little bit careful about accidentally picking up the wrong tokens, though. You can see them repositioning a little bit out of the way of that one. Almost there. And just like that.
Okay. The Aevean. Wait, when did Aevean die on
Looks like
first
they-
spell?
That looks like Aka's first spell. Yeah, Aka's
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
spell. Again, not entirely unheard of. Just gotta make sure you're not trying to run into multiple sets of bullets at the same time, making things more complicated for yourself.
Would you believe me if I say I only just now noticed Bakemi's eye tracker?
Yeah, they do have a night tracker.
I swear I saw an eye tracker just now. Guys, am
Yeah,
I
there it
tripping?
is.
Yeah, it's been there. I'm actually
Am I
having trouble seeing it
tripping?
myself.
You know, it's 4:30 a.m. You know, I might be tripping. Okay, no, it's there.
Yeah.
It's definitely been there, but I think at times it's also been blending in with the stuff in the background. So I haven't always noticed it myself either.
And how much do these things cost? The eye trackers?
I never actually looked into it.
Oh, come on, Google. Really not gonna give me an AI answer today?
What, even the shopping page is being unreliable to you? That's rude.
No, just usually Google gives me a rough AI answer, which I'm fine with right now. But whatever, man.
Yeah, it's
fine.
only a matter of time before they take over the shopping page too, leaving you with unreliable price counts for stuff too. I can be making that streaming section work pretty well, even with their lower damage, making sure they're not able to kill everything in time.
That looked like really dense, honestly.
It was, yeah, because he was pushed so much to the side so early on, but that also meant that the yin-yangs were staying on the screen for much longer and thus able to fire more bullets. I'm gonna look at what would be the red ring section. Imagine dodging in a shmup, though.
Yeah, Ringo Equal
You just have
is
to
really
picture in
good.
your mind a difficult pattern here.
Yep.
The nature of WBaWC tokens.
Yeah, so lore-based.
Yeah, of course Sowako is gonna tie. 3. Yes, Sowako's
Well,
never
that's a little
played
sketchy
Rainbow
going through that
often,
part.
but I do know Sowako has like practiced a bit of Rainbow on occasion, so I think he does know the strats. Just never actually played
And of course,
the
unlike
shot.
with Marissa Otter, you get to go through this red ring section much more easily. That is definitely a clear benefit with switching with this to this shot. There is still a little bit of like staying under where one side of the wisps spawn, just so you get fewer rings like right away. They don't take too long to fire, all things considered.
I wonder if perhaps if you position yourself in the middle of the screen high up, if the amulets actually reach fast enough.
I'm not sure if they do. Like, they're not super slow, but I wouldn't call them super fast either. Plus, the wisps spawn so fast themselves. They just keep getting distracted by new enemies coming in.
Alright, they are stupid as fuck. I forget that detail about the amulets.
I mean, demonstrating they know a pretty consistent route through tortoiseshell hell. Probably the coolest looking attack in the game, in my opinion.
What?
I just love that hexagonal pattern.
Sowako died.
I look away for 1 second too. What happened there? Was it during the mid-non, or was this like the part right after?
It was during the mid-non.
Yeah, so at this point they could only tie Aevean at best.
Sowako was timing it down
just...
probably because they're used to Marisa having to do it, maybe. Because I think Marisa might want to time down the mid-non to skip the...
enemies afterwards. It's a section where the enemies keep spawning just to fill in the amount of time until when the stage like continues properly afterwards.
Because otherwise you get
not quite as necessary as Rainbow, obviously.
Red rings.
Yeah.
Very good movements from Nyachie on Dragon Crest bullets there too. Stayed high up the whole time, so left a lot of room to dodge through those rings.
Yeah, she has been really nice in that final.
But yeah, there was only like one instance where it almost crushed somebody, but that was the worst it got so far.
This is true. This only happens if she moves down left, I'm pretty sure. Is where things get spicy.
Imagine double streaming.
Yeah, it is still very rare to see that. It's like a specific kind of movement too. Even like going in that general direction. A little bit too panicked there, going through that on-spell. Sowako unfortunate.
I think Sowako is unfortunately game over pace right now. I wanna
at
believe,
this point they can no longer get first place. I believe they would still get a second place with 3 miss versus a Rainbow Eagle 3 miss.
I mean, at least they did qualify for a score.
Certainly, yeah.
I think if I were in his position, I would just try to get a lower miss count with Yomo.
Well, aside from the final run part, obviously, but you finish the run here, that's still going to be more points than I think almost any Yomu shot, or it's the Yomu 5 miss. Bakemi definitely demonstrating the usefulness of having a neutral hyper going during the stage 5 mid-non. Able to pick up some extra tokens during that. Was that 2 more misses there from Sowako?
There's at least one.
Yeah, I saw that like they had died and then they had a Spirit Strike when they were like trying to shotgun something right after.
Sowako, please 1cc.
They got no lives left.
It's 1cc.
And when you think about it, there's actually not too many lives to be gained with you're not going for a lot of those extra tokens.
Only 7.
It is possible, like for a run like this where you only get like 5 misses total, you can just game over. And that's just like the easy way to consider.
Aevean,
Yeah, at that point that would be more than enough to invalidate the run. They might consider just like trying to finish it, like trying to 1cc like you said, but at this point, this will unfortunately not give them any points with this shot.
Yeah, even at this point it's doomed, but Bakemi on a 0 miss pace right now.
This is the difficulty spike though, if they're really going to be on pace for us going through this part.
Right now I'm thinking Bakemi doesn't even need to LNNN to win this. Even a 1 miss is gonna suffice. How do you
this is
pronounce that word?
This is where getting the higher amount of points as someone like Rainbow Eagle is still beneficial. Because Rainbow Otter doesn't have so many points that they can afford an extra miss. Go for the misdirect again. It's the closest you can get, I suppose. Definitely is harder to keep up that strat the longer that wave goes on, so you want to finish it as quickly as possible. At least in this case, it's because Aevean has died a lot so far on the final run.
Sowako is on
that was a nice dash from Bakemi, making sure they got out of the way, the big wall of bullets coming at them.
Sowako is on the danger spell.
I definitely want to make sure these things don't get too low on the screen or everything's just going to get too tight down there. It seems like they judge this point to be when they start going for damage, but maybe not quite damaging enough.
Oh, what am I?
That's the issue. Let them get too low on the screen and they just totally mess you up. Sad to see the run end like that. Hopefully we would have wanted to see them complete something with this shot. Hopefully get a few more points on the board, but that locks in. Yomu will 5 miss for Team Aya. Looks like Aevean might have turned off too. Yeah, no pressure for Bakemi at this point.
Yep. Oh, look at the...
Only one left playing, only one who hasn't missed yet in their final run. I have to imagine them taking a deep breath right here.
Yeah, get them.
I certainly
if they
would
want, they can join the for the interview. I think they can already join, you know?
Some of the other
We
players
can come together.
Certainly, yeah.
Yeah, Aevean and Sowako.
I'll go to watch and see what happens here, the conclusion of this match. Yeah, I've seen Bakemi do this before. They know the strat for the opening. You have to go up towards like one of the higher corners so that you end up below where 2 of the yin-yangs are towards the opposite corner, towards the bottom. That lets you slip up towards the top again, get past everything. Fortunately, the rest of the first half here is pretty simple. It's just a lot of circle streaming. You shouldn't go too fast though, I guess, because you want to make sure you don't run into something at the very top where you can't go any higher. One more look at Ethical, Stage 6 mid-non. Timing down to get rid of some of those other enemies at the end too. Because some of those yin-yangs that spawn like to fill in the space after the mid-boss, they actually can linger around towards into the beginning of this wave too for a little bit. So it helps to make sure they just don't spawn entirely. Out here, just make sure they kill everything as fast as possible. Not going for any token collection at this point. Might want to wait until they have to start moving higher up.
Alright, this is it.
Okay, now please do it. Do it.
Final one magic.
Yes. We need more of that, certainly. Once more trying to catch their breath, I imagine.
Yeah, I think this is their big moment.
They have, and like you said, they do have a little bit of room to spare. Even if they were to miss once, they could still get first place if they do the rest of the fight.
I think they are more interested in getting the LNN more than winning at
obviously,
this point.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
We'll just cross that bridge when we get there, only.
I believe in the LNN.
They've done it before. They certainly know how to do the strats with Brave Eagle too. Only difference is it's live on stream, but again, they do have that background to help them out. Ooh. Hard to make sure they do some vertical dodging there too. I'm not sure if I've seen that before with some of these misdirects.
Okay, very nice.
Ending the spell before that, the hard part of the second wave. You always want to see that. Yeah, as we've seen, we haven't really seen them do the circle strat on this one. Some of the other players have done it, but because Keiki doesn't fire above her, you can just circle around twice for each wave, and then just sit under her in between waves to get some extra damage in, and it's very safe to do. Other than just paying attention to the tokens and make sure you don't get a bad hyper.
Nice.
Remembering their strat for this, while under pressure. Eye tracker is definitely helping us get a gauge into what they're thinking too during each part of this. Being extra safe in terms of which color of the beast tokens they're picking up too. Make sure no matter what they pick up for that last token, it'll be a neutral hyper. Because you can't necessarily control where that third non-spell might push you. Alright, one last look at linear creature. Please be kind. Because it definitely can get nasty.
Ooh, the psychic is going very high. Which is fine.
That works.
Yeah, like once again, able to get good damage in though.
Yeah.
Moving kind of low on this one though. Even though I mentioned you can follow where the yellow stars are to read where the gaps are, there's still not a whole lot of time to react if she moves that low.
Yeah.
It's the classic with Touhou. Whenever the boss moves down, that spells trouble.
The Touhou special. Ooh.
Being extra aggressive in terms of getting extra damage on Keiki here, actually, but they seem to understand like how to actually fit through these waves to do so. Just a little bit more, come on.
Oh no!
Yeah, I mean, I was feeling the pressure too with that. I was feeling that through the screen.
Okay, can still win though. Come on.
Just don't mess up GC, please.
Don't fail geometric creature.
Was that the funky dodge you mentioned that they do on this?
No. My dodge is like the bottom screen a bit on the left side instead of moving up like they do.
It's a pretty big dash up too that Bakemi was doing.
Oh, that's like the regular strategy. Okay, focus up.
Alright, one more look at geometric creature now.
Finally, I can look at this properly. Uh-huh.
This is so scary. Nice.
I don't understand this shit.
Oh!
Nah, I don't understand this shit. That's
the different ways they were trying to misdirect it that whole time too. There actually are some slight differences between waves. But yeah. So at this point, it would only be second place at best. But it can still be an improvement over their previous one. I think they can get through Idola Diabolus. This one's definitely a lot more strategy focused than something like GC.
Well, I do trust them to perform on Idola Diabolus.
It's always one of those spells that it might take a while for you to actually get over that hump and actually learn how to do something that's comfortable for you, but once you get to that point, it gets very consistent. It is still pretty fun just like figuring out how the attack works in general too. Push a little bit to the side here, we're using just the focus shots. I wonder how much they really care about losing damage.
Looks like they're going.
Make sure they can get back towards the center here for the start of the next wave in 5 seconds.
Yeah. And it should be fine. Bakemi seems very consistent.
Yeah, they've been killing it so far.
Yeah.
During this stream. Really shows the value of consistency anywhere you can get it for an event like this. Everything's pushing you towards the left here just naturally, but they position themselves well to start.
There is no way.
Okay, that's not what you wanted to see.
Because they are going insane. Look at that.
It's true though, I did take up Gastar's jinxing duties this run.
Oh my
what do you
god.
know?
Oh no.
Yeah, still very strong play from them though.
Thank you for watching. That's
I really like seeing some of the extra shots because we really haven't seen much of shots like Rainbow Eagle in previous streams. Really showing off some of that new tech that was discovered. But yeah, that's WBaWC Survival, everybody.
GG's to all players.
Yeah, still very strong runs from everybody going through this. Yeah. People may say that WBaWC is one of the easier games to get perfect runs on, but you still can't really count out some of these attacks. It's still no pushover. It's bullet hell. What do you expect? Especially with all the extra resource management that you gotta learn in the meantime, too. Alright, so let's see if we can get our final standings up here in a second.
See if we can get Sowako in here, maybe.
Anybody able to do interviews or just talking a little bit? I'm not sure how good I am at asking questions.
Like, I think CraftTek and you... I'm not sure if it's the correct time.
Yeah, otherwise, we got our final standings here.
Okay.
Oh.
My man,
we got somebody here. Sowako.
You're super.
Hi.
Super. I mean, hello guys. First of all, I'm sorry for the match. It was too much.
It was still good. It's still very impressive to get some runs that far into the game, you know? Even something like this.
Yes. I think that my problem is I'm really new at this game, probably. But it was a nice experience to play. I tried my best.
Yeah, it's very fun. You definitely did still play well, able to get some good runs in there. Even with someone like Yomu W.
Yeah, it's nice that
it's not
you got
an easy shot to
score.
even pick up, so despite people calling it a very strong shot, if you can't get good at the slashing mechanics, you're just dead in the water right there, so good on you for being able to finish a run with that.
Yes, GC was a problem, a real problem. For some reason, yes, I was practicing Mario, but problem is the more I practice with Mario GC, the less I got consistent with Yomu GC, and it made me really nervous, sadly. But I did my best. I was really,
definitely say keep at it though.
Sorry.
This is definitely one of those games that rewards more consistent play. So I would definitely urge you to keep at it. I'm sure you can get good runs in the future too with these characters.
Thanks for that. I think probably my plan after this is finishing at least the Yomu Wolf LNN, because if I don't do it now, I'm probably never going to do it again. So it was a nice experience. I was practicing a lot.
Forging while the iron is hot, certainly. I can understand that.
Nah man, you're super.
Yeah, being on
And I hope
TWC is always super.
you guys
So
enjoyed some of the extreme dodges there was, because man, sometimes I don't. I know this game is kind of consistent, but sometimes the dodges, like Mayumi Don 2 or even Laser, the Laser.
yeah, those are definitely the hard ones. But yeah,
Oh man.
I guess just a quick recap here. We gotta have our score updates here. So in third place, it was Sowako with the Yomo Wolf 5 miss, as we mentioned, for Team Aya. Second place, we have Bakemi for Team Hatate. It's a Rainbow Eagle 3 miss. And then first place, Team Momiji is Aevean Leeow, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, with the Rainbow Otter 2 miss, getting them 6.5 points. Once again, though, it's still very strong runs from everybody today, so definitely thanks for participating in this, Sowako, Aevean, and Bakemi.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
I think it might be a bit before we see the world feed, which I think we're gonna see, unless I'm misremembering how TWC
Yeah,
works.
we do have some more matches coming up for TWC. We may be getting close to the end of the overall schedule, but definitely still some good matches left. Meantime, we can enjoy this sick artwork.
Also good.
I forget there's like a specific name for this city in the animal realm, but
Beast Metropolis.
Yeah.
Beast Metropolis, yeah, I guess that's just the name of the song title too, but yeah. Although I guess in this case, they wouldn't be fighting the beast spirits themselves, they would be fighting some of these other fairies, wouldn't they? Just thinking about the lore.
Well, the fairy...
Don't mind me on that.
Like, I think they actually do fight... They fight the spirits,
what happens
I
is,
think.
like, the beast spirit that accompanies them throughout the game just possesses them throughout the end of the game. So, like, when they
Yes,
got the
but
red eyes and stuff, but...
I think you still fight animal spirits. Maybe they are not like the usual wolves, eagles, and otters, but you do fight them, I think.
Nothing like what we see, like, some of the future games where they actually have the spirits as enemies, like for Udog. Alright, so...
And there we go.
Yeah, another very interesting category, Imperishable Night Lunatic Scoring. But on, I guess it's Sunday.
Yeah,
It'd be a Sunday evening based on
we have
Japan time.
Leeow. Then we have there is Iwana Minoriko, also most often called Zetsu, and the Mariox, being all really good players. And one cool thing to say about this upcoming category is that I believe a few days ago, was that yesterday or maybe even today, Zetsu updated the overall world record on this game.
Oh, that's very awesome there.
Yeah.
Unless I might have imagined it, but I'm pretty sure Zetsu did that.
Either way, you have to imagine they'd be able to bring some of that new tech into a live stream like this. Definitely very fun to watch.
And okay, they disappeared.
I was about to say, was that it?
We're back. Now there's also another
Fading in and
match.
out. They're disappearing to the moon. Oh no.
Another match which I think I will have to commentate comics in a... maybe they're not gonna show it now.
The one after Imperishable Night, you mean?
Yes.
It's giving the world a little bit more time to
Wait,
transition.
Leve also got a world record. I missed this. Wait, what?
It is a
Ain't
little
no way I
bit hard
missed
for me to
that.
read the chat, admittedly, based on this yellow background. I haven't really been able to follow along if they mention anything about the world record update.
What the hell? Scarlet Team world record. Man.
So it's not just
Okay.
Yobo, you're saying.
Oh, I'm stupid. Okay, no, yes. Now I remember. They got the Scarlet Team world record. Yes, I'm stupid. So yeah,
Oh, so
Ayan
this
was
is
very
the
active
category.
recently. Yeah. I was talking about Scarlet Team for Zetsu's case. It was like also the overall world record, which is Yomo, by the way, solo Yomo.
It's not too surprising to see either of those categories up towards the top, though. From what little I know about Imperishable Night scoring, I definitely know Yomu's solo is very good for that.
Oh, there, see? This is what I was talking
There we
about,
go.
Mountain of Fate scoring. We got Sok.
Yeah, more scoring matches coming up.
Speaking of world record, Sok, I believe, also got the Reimusi world record, and that's the shot you can expect from Sok coming in this match.
He's not content with being the survival behemoth for this series. He wants to be the scoring behemoth too. In a game that's notoriously hard to update world records in nowadays.
And
Sok is so optimized.
Sok is, like for the people who know Sok know, is also a beast scorer, and especially Mountain of Fate, like very, very, very good scores in Mountain of Fate. I believe he still has the Reimu B world record.
It definitely helps that there is a lot of survival play
I don't remember.
with Mountain of Fate scoring, just because you max out the gauge early on, you just have to survive everything else past then. It's not quite the same as when doing like a pure survival run in terms of whatever strats you're doing, the movement and stuff. But
But
there's
yes,
still a lot
also
more
the
overlap
Rainbow
with
Wave?
this game compared to some others.
Also, I think Sok plays without the hint. And then there is, of course, Iñaki and Crispy, long time Mountain
Yeah,
of
we
Fate
saw
scorers.
those. We saw both of them do survival runs in previous years. Now they're getting the foray into scoring as well. Once again, there's some overlap between survival and scoring for Mountain of Fate, so that definitely helps transition them there.
The Crisper. Yeah, I think we can expect the Reimu
want to see if I can
B's
catch
and
both of
Reimu
these
C.
matches this weekend as they go on. Definitely learn some new things. Get to watch some super players in action. Even more super players. And I guess, is that it for this weekend? I haven't checked the schedule recently to see if there are any more matches on afterwards, but I guess based on the time that might not be.
No, yeah, Moth is the last match of the week, so everyone make sure to be there because Moth is pretty good to look at. Arguably good to play. I don't really like playing it.
It's just an overall joy in my experience. It's always been one of my favorite games in the series. We have one more slide, I guess, in terms of like the outro.
It's gonna be,
This is something I think we
it's-
started just this year.
Yeah, and as usual, I think the timing for this is different. Totally dependent on the global, the world feed.
Yeah, forgive me if I'm not able to like accurately predict when some of these things happen all the time, you know. I'm not always around for commentary.
I don't think we have any control over it. We just wait for it to change reactively.
Now it's just making me curious and makes me like pay attention to this stuff going forward now too. Now we got the idea in my head.
Yes, last match.
Like I said, I just figured based on the time, but it was only said like I'm 99% sure, not 100, so you never know. Always willing to be corrected if I'm wrong.
Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah, I certainly hope everybody here enjoyed the match today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, even though I wonder how many Europeans who are actually awake right now.
They'll have to catch the feed once they wake up, and that thing gets uploaded to YouTube. Yeah, I did say this is a pretty unusual time to be broadcasting a match like this. So I guess if anybody here did stay awake pretty late into the night, thank you for staying. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this too.
Gracias. Buenas noches.
Bye.